In this video, I will be discussing about the decision making statements in Python. First, we will see what are control statements. These statements enable us to specify the flow of program control. That is, the order in which the instructions in a program are executed. Normal flow of program execution is sequential. That order of execution, that is sequential order of execution, can be changed using the control statements. There are three categories of control statements: branching, otherwise called the decision making or conditional statements. Second is looping statements. Third one is the jumping statements. In this video, I'll be discussing only about the decision making or branching statements. So, the decision making statements decide the order of execution of instructions or statements in a program based on a certain condition. The decision making statements in Python are the different forms of if, that is if statement, if else statement, nested if statement, if else if ladder. First we will see about the if statement. This is the syntax of the if statement, that is if test condition, and then following that we have a colon. In the next line with some indentation, that is indentation means here the space, you have to leave little space and then type in. Either you can type in space or you can press the tab key. Normally in the tab key has 4 spaces, so you can press the tab key on the keyboard and then type the statements. And there is one or more statements can be given in if condition. So if the condition is true, this set of statements will be executed. Only if the condition is true, it will be executed. This condition, test condition, can also be given within brackets. So the program evaluates the given condition and will execute statements only if the condition is true. If the condition is false, the statements are not executed. And in Python, the body of the if statement is indicated by the indentation. The body starts with an indentation and the first unindented line marks the end of the if statement. So indentation is very important here. If the statements are not indented properly, it will show it as an error. We'll see the flowchart for this if statement. If the given condition is true, the true set of statements will be executed. If false, it will come out of the if. Okay. If true, it will execute the true set of statements and then execute the next statement. We'll see an example for that. This example code has been executed using idle 3, which is an interactive environment for Python 3. Here I have given the value of x as 3 and y as 12. And here the next statement I am checking here if x is less than y. This condition will be evaluated either as true or false based on the value given. So since here x, that is 3, is less than 12, the condition will be true. And so the statement following if will be executed, that is z equal to x plus y will be calculated, which is 15. And then in this next statement it is print result is, so this result is printed. If the condition is false, in that case it will directly come to this print statement. But since z is undefined outside of if, it is z is not defined outside if, so when the condition becomes false, this z equal to x plus y is not done. So this print statement will generate a error, that is Z is not defined. Next we will move on to the if-else statement. The syntax of it is if-else statement. The syntax is if condition. If the condition is true, the statements representing the true condition should be given below this if condition, and if the condition is false, the statements representing the false condition should be given after the else statement. That is, if else statement evaluates the condition and will execute statements following if only if the condition is true. If the condition is false, the statements following else is executed. This is the flowchart that represents it. If the condition is true, true set of statements will be executed. If the condition is false, false set of statements will be executed. In both cases, after the execution of the corresponding set of statements, it will move on to the next statement in the program. For example, if x is 3 and y is 12, the next is we are checking the condition, that is if it is x is greater than y. This is a program for finding the largest number among two numbers. So if x is y, that is if it is true, then the print statement following if is executed, that is print x is greater than y is done. Otherwise, if it is false, then the statement following else is executed, that is print y is greater than x. Since x and y here are not within double quotes, the values representing x and y variables will be printed in the result. Okay, since 3 is not greater than 12, the statement following else will be executed, that is it will print 12 is greater than 3. And the next statement is if else statement. Here the syntax is if condition, one or more statements representing the true condition is done here. Otherwise, if it is false, we check again a condition, otherwise called test expression, and then if that is true, if the given test expression is true, then it will execute the statements following else if. If both the conditions are false, then in that case it will execute the statements following else statement. That is, it allows to check for multiple conditions. If the condition is false, it checks the condition of the next else if block and so on. If all the conditions are false, the body of else is executed. Only one block among the several if else blocks is executed according to the condition. And the if block can have only one else block, but it can have multiple else if blocks. This is a flowchart representing it. First we can check in condition. If it is true, we execute this true set of statements. Otherwise, if it is false, we again check a condition. If that is true, true set of statements that follows else if is executed. If the second condition is false, false set of statements are executed. So if both the conditions are false, it will be executing the false set of statements that follows the else statement. In all the three cases, after this corresponding set of statements are executed, it will be executing the next statement in the program. This is an example. In this program, we print we check whether a number is positive, negative or 0 and print whether it is positive, negative or 0. So here the input is given as x equal to minus 8, and then here first we will check whether x is greater than 0, whether it is a positive number. If the condition is true, in that case it will print x is a positive number. If the condition is false, we check for another condition that is x is less than 0, which means x is a negative number. If this condition is true, then in that case it will print it as a negative number. Otherwise, if both the cases are false, in that case x is a 0. Since x is minus 8, it will print the result as negative number. And the fourth form of if statement is nested if statements. It can have a if else statement inside another if else statement, and that is called a nesting. Any number of the statements can be nested inside one another. Proper indentation is necessary to understand the level of nesting. They can get confusing, so they must be avoided unless necessary. See an example for this. Example is to find the greatest of three numbers. Here three numbers are assigned to x, y and z. First we will check if x is greater than y. If x is greater than y, then we have to check for another condition also, if x is greater than z also. If in this case, both cases it is true, then x is greater, which means x is greater than y as well as it is greater than z. If x is greater than y but not greater than z, in that case we can decide that z is greater. If x is not greater than y, then it will come to the else statement where we check whether y is greater than z. If y is greater than z, then y is greater is printed. If this condition is false, then it will print z is greater. Since here z is 8, it is greater than x and y, so it will be printed as 8 is greater. Hope that is clear. Thank you.